And now, it's time for another Dice Tower review with the Game Boy Geek.
Hello my friends, it's the Game Boy Geek here. Today we are going to be all about coffee. We're talking about, the coffee we drink by ourselves. We're talking about the beans that are roasted. We're talking about different types of blends. We're going to be talking about trendy blends and the featured blends. We're going to be talking about rainbow blends that are, sort of the staple that hang around for a long time. This is a game that's based off the original game called Vivajava, the coffee game. This is Vivajava, the coffee game, the dice game. Interesting name. 2 to 4 players. Plays in, it says 30 to 45 minutes on the box, but it's never taken us longer than 30. It's a, dice hand, like sort of a dice management, a little bit of push your luck element with a lot of replayability. Let's take a look. I'll show you how it's played, and I'll see you on the side. This is from Dice Hate Me Games, distributed by Game Salute in the US. At the beginning of Vivajava, you get to pick your coffee type. Essentially, it's your color. We have Caravan, Night Owl. We have Morning Call, Samba Mama. And as you notice, each of these are a different color. We have red, yellow, black. And when you flip it over, it's a little player aid there to help you get started. Everyone gets this handy-dandy colorized scoring sheet. And what you're trying to do is get all the way up to 21 points. The first one there is the winner. And you're going to be scoring points by creating blends or in these different research tracks, getting all the way to end of that's how you score points. So here we have a game set up. We've got 2 different sets of coffee dice. We have different blends. We have a flavored blend and a rainbow blend. We'll talk about flavor later. This is some special abilities we'll talk about as well. Those are the research tracks. We'll talk about that later. So let's talk about on a turn how it works. On your turn, you're going to roll all these dice. And you have different beans of different flavors, and smartly they put different pips. So the white is the lowest ranked, and the black is actually the highest ranked. It's like a flavor, but it's the highest, and then you can see green is the second highest by pips. And so what you're trying to do, usually getting a blend is going to be a good idea because it gets you the most points over the course of the game. Featured blend. Actually, let's go rainbow blend first because what I rolled here was a rainbow. If you have 5 different colors, which is what we have here, you can claim the rainbow blend. Even if somebody else has it, it doesn't matter. As soon as you have a rainbow, you can claim it. Essentially, you would just take this and put it near you. What this means, anytime you make any blend, you get 1 point right away. And then this tells you that if there's two or 3 players, you get 1 point every time it gets back to your turn and you still have the rainbow blend, meaning somebody else didn't take it. If you're playing with 4 people, you get 2 points. So this is one of those things where you get to keep getting points every round if nobody's taking it from you. The cool thing about the rainbow blend is when it's your turn, if you still have the rainbow blend, you get the points. You still get to roll these dice and get other things. Now the featured blend. Let's say I had rolled, let's see, there's a red, and let's say we went with, let's say we had 3 reds like that. Well, I could choose to go with a featured blend because it uses essentially kind of pokerish hands where it goes 2 of a kind, 3 of a kind, 4 of a kind, 5 of a kind. Kickers don't matter, they don't count. So you'd take all 5 there and you would take this to you. Now you can't have both blends at the same time. So if I had a rainbow blend from a previous turn, I rolled my dice and I want the featured blend, the rainbow blend would go away because you can only have one of the 2 blends. Now the featured blend here. What this is you'd get, again, 1 point for getting the featured blend right away. And then if it comes back to my turn and I still have the highest thing, meaning nobody has beaten my 4 of a kind of red, I would then get 2 points if it's a 2-player game, or 3 points if there's more than 2 players. Now, when it's my turn, I have a choice. I'd first score the points. Then I would have to degrade this because the featured blend is sort of a trendy thing. It degrades over time. And so you would have to degrade it by taking one of the dice off. And I would go like that. Now I have a choice to make. I can either take the dice that are left on this coaster and roll like a normal turn, or I can leave it here hoping that I'll still have this when it's my turn again. And that's how that would work. So we would go around again. If I kept it, then again, I'd score the points, and I'd degrade the die. Maybe I go, 3 of a kind's not that high, I'll re-roll. And this would be my turn. Nobody would own the feature blend, and I would have 3 dice to try to do things. So that's making the featured blend and making the rainbow blend. Now let's talk about research. So let's say I rolled this, and 2 of a kind's not that good. I don't have a rainbow. Let's talk about going up in my research scale. So obviously when we were getting points, we would be marking them here as we go along. And now we have research here. So you can see I have a red, a white, 2 black, 1 black, and 2 brown. So I split them up like this, and I could say, I could take 2 researches of brown. That looks pretty good. Let's do that. So I would mark off 2 researches of brown. Now we notice that in here we have the big beans here at 1x and 2x. So the second one on all of them, it's a big beans 1x, and here's a 2x, and then we have coffee at the end. So we've reached a first level of a track here, the brown track. Let's take a look at what this does. Now here's the codes you use for a basic game. You have the different colors. You have brown, red, green, white, and yellow, and those correspond with the different beans that you're researching in. As soon as I get to a 1x level, I activate one of these abilities and I'm able to use it. For example, field testing. This allows us to, when we create a blend, we can increase our field testing by 1 in any of the fields. And the game actually comes with little cards that gives you more detail on each of these field testing. So essentially, you know, when you create a blend, you can increase any research point, which is one of these points here, in any track of your choice. And it says 1p and 2rp. This means when I get to the second 2x, when I get to the second bean, which is a 2x level of the brown bean, when I create a blend, I get to move up 2rp in the research of my point. So that's that. Now look at the different ones. Improved bean, this allows you to essentially, if I had rolled this, if I'm at the 1x level of the yellow bean, I can improve this from a 1 to a 2, let's say, or 2 to a 3 if I had rolled a 3. If you get to the 2x level, you get to do it twice. White, we get to re-roll. So you could re-roll any amount of dice once at the 1x level, twice at the 2x level. Flavor we'll get to later. Blocked action. You would get, when you get to the 1x level, you get a token. You would actually get to put it right on your red there, and then it's a one-time use. When I want to use this, I essentially can put this on a special ability, and nobody can use that for the whole next turn. And then after that, it comes off. It's a one-time use. And when I get to the 2x level there, I'd get another one. You can have more than one token, but whenever you ever use them, they're one-time use. And extra flavor. Let's talk about the flavor dice, because this essentially gives you more flavor dice as you get those. So let's talk about those. So let's say I rolled this, and let's say the featured blend already had 3 of a kind, so I couldn't beat it with this 2 of a kind. And I see this research. Well, I could research 2 in yellow or 2 in black is probably the best idea. Well, black is different. If I research in black, you'll notice there's no research of black here. What I get to do is actually take 2 of the dice off the flavor tray. Now, these are now mine for one-time use for the next round. Let's talk about how these are used. When it's my turn, when I roll next time the 5 coffee dice, I will roll the 2 flavor dice with me. It's like having extra die. The cool thing about the flavor die is there's wilds on all of them. So you could get a big blend there maybe with that. That's really good. Now, after you use them, they go away. So let's say I had a featured blend here, and I have, 1, 2, 3, let's say they're all 4 reds. I could go 1, 2, and I think that these are basically red. So essentially these are red, so these come off, and we put the coffee dice on here. The flavored dice get returned, and so those flavored dice kind of turn into coffee dice of red, and now I have a pretty good strong featured blend. The other thing you could do with the flavored die is when somebody else is rolling the dice, you can roll your flavored dice along with it. So let's say somebody else was rolling their coffee dice at the same time you rolled yours, and they have a choice. Let's say they had rolled this, and they see this. You could say, you could take my flavor die of green, and now you have a 3 of a kind for a featured blend. So what they would do is, they could take yours. So what they do is they take this here. Let's say this, they would take this. Now this one right here turns into a green, and you get to take your token and put it on any one of these dice. And now, not just him getting 1 point for creating a blend, you've got a point too. And now, when it comes back to his turn, he would normally get 2 points here. He's going to degrade a die, and he probably won't want to degrade the one you put this on because it's green, and this is part of his blend. Every time that this starts his turn and your token is still on it, you're also going to get a point. So hey, you could be getting some of the royalties off that feature blend. Pretty cool with the flavor die. So the flavor die action is if you research, and I had gotten, let's say, 1 flavor die, instead of just getting 1, you'd get 1 additional at the 1x level and 2 additional at the 2x level. So that's how researching works. Now, let's say I got brown all the way to the end. As soon as I get here, I cross it off. It means I can no longer use this special ability, but I get points. I look at the brown track here, and I see that I can score 3 points for completing brown, so I would immediately get 3 points there. Now some of them are worth more, 4, 3, and things like that. So the major ways you're scoring is by creating a featured blend, you're always getting points, plus every round that you hold it, you're getting points. Same with the rainbow blend, even though you can only have 1 or the other. And if you're finishing some of these tracks, you're getting points, and the first one that gets to 21 is the winner. Now this is the basic game. The cool thing is you can flip this over and you see it says wild. Well, one of them is set as reroll by default, but then you see different things here. We have a cube here, we have a little starburst, and 2 coffee symbols. You get over 20 other special abilities that you can mix and match into the game for replayability. So let's see, we take one of these and we put it here. We take one of these, we put it here, and we take 2 coffees and fill them up. We randomly have a game that now, for each of the research tracks, is quite different. Now we see, look at this, we have devalue bean is the yellow track. So instead of the improved bean, you could go from a 4 to a 3, for example. Extra research. So, and again, there's cards for every one of these that gives you more detail about what's going on. So, after research, you may get a research point for one of the die values that you did not research in. It's a lot of extra research. Roast boast. This is like, hey, you can gamble and call, I'm going to create a blend this turn. And if you do, you're getting points. If you don't, you're losing points. It's kind of like gambling there. Sip the rainbow. Hey, you get an extra point anytime that you score a rainbow blend. So that makes the rainbow more there. So this gives you a lot of replayability. There's also one that's intern. It's on the brown track and it says hire intern. This is really cool. It actually comes with an additional board called intern, which when we put this out here, so now if someone gets a track here, and it gets 1x in the brown, they get to put their token on one of these different special abilities, and now that's their brown ability for the whole entire game, and nobody else can take it. So everyone's going to have a different ability for brown track, which is also a really cool thing. There's also a solo game. It comes with its own coaster. It has its own research track abilities. And there's 2 different corporations you can play against. Essentially, it's a 2-player game. You pick one of these to play against, and they have different feels to them. The OmniBlink Transglobal, they get a lot of different rerolls depending on how good or bad it's doing and trying to get blends. And the Sashar Life is Sweet here, they're dealing with a lot of different flavor dice, and if they're not creating blends, they're putting colors here and stopping you from using those research tracks. 2 different types of companies, 2 different types of sort of solo games there as well. All right, well, there is Vivajava, the coffee game, the dice game. Now, I've been wanting to play the original Vivajava, the coffee game, for a while now. It's been out of print. I have not been able to get my hands on it, but I've been interested in that. So I can't say how it compares. I have watched reviews on that. It looks like they used a lot of the similar naming and the scheming and researching versus blending and stuff like that, but it's quite different too. I really enjoyed this game. I thought I was going to like it. I actually liked it more than I thought it was going to be. There's actually more to this game than appears. I thought it was going to be a very light dice rolling game, with a little thinking here or there. And don't get me wrong, this isn't a heavy game, but there's actually more layers than I thought there was going to be. Rolling the dice, deciding whether to take, the feature blend when it comes back around. Are you going to take it off and try to, degrade it and try to roll again? Or are you just going to let it sit and push your luck to get another round? Which research do you want to go after? And this is where this game really gets great. When you flip that light coaster off to wild and you have all these different abilities that you can make up, this to me is the key of why this game will stay in my collection too. Not that the game's bad, but this just really takes it to the next level, because every time you play the game, it's going to be different. Because you can have these different combos. Like some of them might lead into another one. They might go together. So you're always going to be researching in different things depending on how the game is set up, and I love that because every game's going to feel a little different that way. Deciding whether to go for the rainbow blend or the feature blend, that's all cool. Deciding which research strat to go down, trying to get points towards the end, and then you have this decision of, hey, I've got this cool ability with a 2x on this research field. If I trigger it, I'll get points, but then I won't get to use it again. So you're trying to wait for the right time to do it towards the end of the game, and there's some tension there. Anyway, I really like this game. It's a very solid filler that maybe has a little bit more thinking than it might appear to have, and definitely a lot more replayability than I thought it was going to have. So overall, as a game standalone as it goes, also it has the solo game, which I'm not a big solo gamer, but it is decent. And there's 2 different corporations that you can play against. I'm sure there's going to be more to think about. I've already seen people on the Board Game Geek forums coming out with other variants of this and such. If you are a solo player, this has that. It was okay for me, but I'm not really a solo gamer. But they do give you 2 choices. But overall, it's good, it's fast, it's quick. Lots of replayability value. Definitely a solid staple. Vivajava, the coffee game, the dice game.
Thanks so much for watching the Dice Tower videos. Find more great videos and reviews, as well as our top-rated audio podcast at Dicetower.com. You can also find other great shows at Dicetowernetwork.com. I'm Eric Summerer, and you've been watching The Dice Tower. The Dice Tower is sponsored by Cool Stuff Inc., where you can find great games for great prices. Cool stuff in stock. Check them out at CoolStuffInc.com.